There's a whole range of tapes that you can use for woodworking, but some are going to be better than others, and especially when it comes to veneering. So there's double-sided tape, there's fiberglass tape, there's tan masking tape or painter's tape, there's green painter's tape, and then there's also blue painter's tape. And for this purpose, I'm just going to call painter's tape masking tape because that's what I'm used to. There's also a new purple one that's supposed to be better. I don't think it works as well as it should for veneering. There's Titebond tight wrap, and there's all different thicknesses of painter's tape and as well as other tapes. There's also packing tape, but that's not what I'm going to talk about today. Today I'm going to talk about blue masking tape and how it pertains to joining two pieces of veneer together. In previous videos, I've shown you how to joint veneer so that you get that invisible seam. So now there's got to be a way to hold this together as you press the veneer, because obviously we don't want it to separate. Well, the way that I do that is with blue masking tape. So let me show you how I go about that. The reason I use blue masking tape is because it has the weakest bond out of all the painter's tape or masking tape. But we'll talk more about that in a second. First of all, let's keep these two pieces of veneer together so that we can press them. So on a piece like this, what I would do is come into the middle, squeeze my veneers together, and then just lay down a piece of tape. Now I'll come to one of the ends, and now what I'll do is I'll start stretching the tape. The beauty of masking tape is that you can stretch it just a little bit, and what that does is it acts like a clamp. When it comes to the middle piece, I'll take it off, and now I'll do the same thing as I did with these others, and that is stretching it. You don't want to overstretch it. In fact, if the veneers are coming together really well, you might not need to stretch the tape at all. One other step that we're going to do is we're going to go down the length of the veneer and make sure that our piece stays together for our next operation. Because blue masking tape has the weakest bond of all, I want to make sure that it sticks to the veneer. The way that I do that is use the rounded face of a hammer. You can also use a brass bristled brush or even a soft steel bristled brush, but I prefer the rounded face of a hammer. Now that we've taped up the one side of the veneer, and by the way, this is the side that's going to get glued to the surface of the panel. We can flip it over and take a look at our joint. If it looks invisible, we've done a real good job. And now we can come in and put veneer tape on the side that is not going to get glued and is the show face of the veneers. One other aspect of applying tape that we should talk about is how to remove it. When you remove blue masking tape, you never want to pull up on it, but rather you want to pull it against itself, and that way you're not going to wreck any delicate veneer, and this will also stop the fibers from the veneer from getting adhered to the masking tape. I'd mentioned before that even blue masking tape will still be too strong of a bond for certain veneers. Zebra wood comes to mind. In those cases, I make the bond even weaker by taking out a strip and pulling it between my index and my thumb. This weakens the bond. I don't like to put it against my apron or a shirt. That weakens it too much. One other thing that I've learned through the years is to stick with brand names. I buy 3M or Scotch blue masking tape, or painter's tape as some people like to call it. I find that the cheaper no-name brands, you're just going to get frustrated with the roll because they'll never tear at the right spot, they'll tear too early, and they just won't work. Now, if I was a smart person, I would have invested in 3M stock when I first came out of school, because it's amazing how much of this stuff I actually use. There's more to this than just what we've covered today, but that's a good start. But before I completely end the video, I'm going to talk about one other thing that I know is on everybody's mind, and that's this green little thing on my blue masking tape. Sometimes during woodworking and veneering demos, the question I get asked the most is where I got my tadpole tape cutter, and they're available online or at Lee Valley stores.